I'm going to share with you how to make tacos, one of my favourite things in the world. Can you see how excited I am about this? Crispy mushroom and pickled red cabbage tacos. Trust me, they are absolutely delicious. And I'm going to share with you today how to make them. Tacos are amazing. I love to eat them out, but sometimes being plant-based and gluten-free, it can be really tricky to find ones that I can eat that actually still taste really lovely. And when you're making them at home, how can something so small be so faffy? I don't know. But anyway, today I'm going to share with you how to make really cool, wonderful tacos, and stick with the video because at the end of it I'm going to be showing you some tweaks that you can do that you can apply to this recipe or other taco recipes that you have to make them quicker and easier to make. Step 1, we're going to chop up the mushrooms and then we're going to put them in a marinade while we prepare the rest of the ingredients. If you've ever done a mushroom taco recipe before, it can take quite a lot of mushrooms to actually put in the recipe, and that can be quite expensive, especially if you're buying specialty mushrooms. So oyster mushrooms are one of the best mushrooms to get them nice and crispy and put them in the oven. However, I found that shiitake mushrooms, which are often easier to find depending on which country you live in, and sometimes a bit cheaper too, really also work in this recipe. And even the common, we call them butter mushrooms in the UK. I can't remember the name of them in Australia or in the States even, but we call them butter mushrooms. So I'm going to use a mixture of both of these today, and I'm going to chop them up very, very finely so that they're going to crisp up and then they will take less time to cook. Okay, so now it's time to make the marinade. So firstly I'm going to add the oil. And then I'm going to measure out the tamari sauce. So for those of you who don't know, tamari is often a gluten-free soy sauce. So for those of you who do have a gluten intolerance or prefer not to eat too much gluten, then tamari is fantastic for that. I'm just going to add that to the oil. And then we're going to work on the juices. So I have here some lime juice. So this is just freshly squeezed lime juice. I'm going to add one of those in here. And this is freshly squeezed orange juice. And here I've got just literally a pinch with my thumb and forefinger of chipotle chilies and garlic powder, and I'm going to add that too. And then the last thing is the maple syrup. So I'm just going to add that too. Okay, so once you've got that done, just mix it all together. And we're just going to add it to the mushrooms. Just make sure you get all of it out. And then mix it together. So what you want is all of the mushrooms covered in the marinade. And it won't be huge amounts of marinade, but it is going to be enough to kind of get those flavours into the mushrooms. And then also when you cook it, it's going to add a lot of flavour too. And if you'd like to at this point, this is the point that I would add some salt or pepper as well. So once you've done these, they just need to be covered and left for at least 15 or 20 minutes. Now, I've kept it at that so that this recipe can be very quick and easy. But however, if you have time to prep something in the morning or if you're working from home and at lunch, then if you leave these for a good few hours, then they're obviously going to taste much better. But at least 15-20 minutes I find does it, and that still means that you're going to get dinner on the table very quickly. The mushrooms are now marinating, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the pickled red cabbage. Now, as you can see, I've already got some of this down me, so this is how it's going to be for the rest of the video. I really need to invest in one of those aprons, I think. But so let's get on with the pickled red cabbage. And I have, as you can see, the reason why, I have already put this in here because I don't know if you've ever had pickled red cabbage before, but it's a bit like beetroot. The colour goes everywhere. They literally stains everything. So if you'd have been here earlier, you'd have seen me like scrubbing the kitchen trying to get all the stains off. So I didn't want to inflict that on my top too. So pickled red cabbage, to make it from scratch, adds to that whole faffiness that I was talking about. So this is the first of my little tweaks to make it quicker and easier for you. So this is from a jar of pickled red cabbage. So you know the jars that sits with all the other pickled stuff, the gherkins, the pickled onions, and that sits with that. Now this has in it basically, I think, salt, red cabbage and spirit vinegar. So if you were to taste it, it tastes a little bit kind of sour because of the pickling. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple more ingredients and to leave it kind of soak in, which is going to give it a much nicer flavour. So the first thing I've already done is I've just washed this in the sieve to try and get some of the excess vinegar off of it. So that's been done. So the first thing we're going to do is to add the rest of the squeezed orange juice that we've done. So I'm going to add that now. Just here. And then I need this one. Don't know if you've ever used these before. They're amazing and great, but you do tend to get kind of everything onto your fingers as well. So we're just going to add some maple syrup too, and then just mix it in. And then this is pretty much ready until you want to start assembling it. So I'm going to put that off to the side, and we're going to work on the next part, step 2. Next step, we're going to be making the guacamole. So I have the avocado in this bowl here, and I've mashed it up. I'm just very simply going to be adding a few ingredients. So firstly, I'm going to be adding some of the rest of the fresh lime juice to give it a bit of a kick. I've got here some minced garlic. We're going to add that too. Next we're going to add, it's literally a pinch of cumin powder. Just going to give it a really nice flavour. And this is some vegan mayonnaise. Now I know lots of people don't have vegan mayonnaise in their avocado guacamole, but I love it because it just has a real creaminess to it, and it just, as a tang, it does make the avocado go further too, which is also great for the pockets. So I'm going to add this to here. And then lastly, I'm going to add some salt. And then I'm just going to mix it all together and then put it in the fridge, and then it'll be ready for when we start assembling everything. So the mushrooms have been marinating and they're now ready to go into the oven. So I've got here just some greaseproof paper in a large oven tray, and we're going to add the mushrooms. What you need to do with these mushrooms, in order for them to become crispy and to cook well rather than get mushy in steam, is to make sure they have enough space. And if you've ever cooked mushrooms before, you know as they cook, they start shrinking down as the water gets released and they get crispier and crispier. So we're going to make sure they're spread out, we're going to put them in the oven, and then I want you to check on them sort of every 5-10 minutes or so, just to make sure they're doing okay. And once they start looking to get a little bit crispy on one side, then just move them around and turn them around until they're fully crispy, or as crispy as you would like. And then take out the oven and then leave to cool slightly, and then they're ready for assembly. So while the mushrooms are cooking in the oven, we're going to work on the rest of the ingredients we need to assemble the tacos. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is my next tip to help make tacos very quick and easy, but also delicious. And that is, I don't know if you've seen these before, these are jarred, already skinned, already cooked peppers, red peppers, and they are also in sort of like a sort of vinegar. But these are amazing in tacos. So what I do is I just take it and very, very finely chop it, and then we're going to add a few bits to each taco. Chop that and put that here. I've already chopped some coriander to put on top, and I also have spring onion as well. So the spring onion, you don't need it, but it's also great. It adds a bit of flavour, and this is just to be sprinkled on top. There you go. That's just to be sprinkled on top of the taco. So the only other two things that need to go in the tacos apart from this is salsa, and I also add a bit of lettuce. So again, a little bit of a cheat. If you don't want to be cutting up any lettuce, just use a packet of lettuce that's a little bit crunchy, and that's to add a little bit of texture into the dish, but also a bit of colour too. And so I just do it so you don't have to cut it. Make it easy on yourself. And the next thing I want to share with you on the tip side is using a pre-made salsa. Now, if you have time, please go and you want to make your own salsa, that's fantastic. And I have a recipe on my channel for that, for a very delicious, amazing salsa that takes 5 minutes to make. However, as we're being easy and kind on ourselves today, we're just going to use a one from shop. Now, the one that I've used today is not a mild salsa, it's a salsa that has a bit more of a kick. So it's a bit spicy salsa, and we do not need very much of it on each of the tacos because otherwise it will overpower the flavour. But the heat really comes together with the creamy avocado and also our lovely umami mushrooms. And because we don't have so much chili anywhere else, you can sort of go a little bit more overboard on the salsa. So when the mushrooms are done, we're ready to assemble. So in this step, we're almost ready to start assembling, but I wanted to share a couple of things with you first of all. So the first thing is, I don't know if you can see here, but these are the mushrooms. So they have reduced quite a lot in size, but that's okay because I'm just making a half portion today. But they are really crispy and they look absolutely delicious. And the other thing I wanted to share is your actual tortillas for the tacos. Now, depending on where you live, your tacos are going to be different sizes, especially if they're gluten-free. Sometimes they're much larger than others, sometimes the 100% kind of blue corn ones are a bit smaller. So check out the recipe below for details about how many tacos this makes and the size of the tacos. The size of the tortillas, sorry, that do it. But these ones, I have just cooked them in a dry frying pan, a dry hot frying pan I should say, and so I've just literally done them as per the instructions, a few seconds on each side, and got them sort of nice crispy, not crispy, nice and cooked. If they're too crispy, they're not going to work, but these are soft tacos, so we need them to be a little bit soft. So now we're ready to assemble your tacos. This is the best bit, apart from eating them of course. So take one tortilla and then just spread some avocado guacamole in it, and then I will add a little bit of lettuce and then the mushrooms, It's very tempting to overfill these, so just be careful that you're still going to have to eat them, preferably without a knife and fork, so you're going to need to be able to fold it over, so don't overfill them, trust me, it goes everywhere. So we're going to add the pickled cabbage. And then top with our salsa. And then we're going to add some lovely strips of that pepper. And then I think we're almost there. We're just going to add a few spring onions and a little bit of chopped coriander. So leave me to get assembling the rest of them, and then I can show you what it looks like when it's done. I haven't quite figured out an elegant way of eating tacos yet. It tends to just go everywhere. So I'm just going to get stuck in and I'll tell you what it tastes like. Let's grab this one here. You see what I mean about not filling out too much, right? I think it's just going for the end. Mmm. 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 Always tend to have a napkin ready when I'm eating tacos. That was just like a taste explosion in your mouth. It was just like fireworks, celebration, summer, party, just you name it, all in a bite. And it just tasted so good. Even if I say it myself, it just tasted really, really, really good. Please let me know how you get on trying this recipe, because it is one of my favourites. I know they say this quite a lot, but I only share the good ones with you. But please, please try this recipe and let me know how you get on with it. If you would like to make the salsa recipe from scratch, which I would recommend if you're doing a celebratory meal or something special, then I will connect that video to this one so you can see the ingredients and what's required for it. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel where I will share with you lots of my favourite and best plant-based and low or no gluten recipes.